Alright guys, how's it going? Last month in beautiful sunny Stockholm, I had the chance to meet AMD, who were holding a press event for their upcoming Polaris architecture launch and of course the RX 480. This one you're looking at here was the very one that Raja Koduri himself held up at Computex. During the day I met one or two members of the press, including other YouTubers, had an interesting chat with Richard Huddy, and of course got plenty of information on Polaris itself. But the main reason for attending was my chance to hold an interview with AMD's Jason Megit. Before I start the interview, I just want to say that there were one or two technical issues, including a broken tripod stand, a faulty microphone, and an audio recorder which failed to record. Luckily though, the audio on the camcorder itself is not too bad, so the interview was salvageable, but please keep that in mind when you hear the quality. Hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully you enjoy this one. Jason, if you can introduce yourself please, tell us what you do at AMD.
Sure, so my name is Jason Megit. I work at AMD within the Radeon Technologies Group, and my official title is Technical Marketing Manager. What that really means is I get to focus in on our overall graphics strategy as it relates to gaming and some other use cases for graphics cards, and I'm in the privileged position of being able to focus in on research and being a key thinker in terms of where our products are going and what our strategy is going to be going forward.
Very much looking at future products as well. Mostly future products, would you say, yeah?
Absolutely. We look at future products, the way we expect our products to be used in the future, what workloads are going to look like in terms of gaming, what technologies are going to be key, whether it be FreeSync, VR, or new APIs like DirectX12 and Vulkan, just ensuring that our technologies are aligned with those future trends, and also looking at some key metrics about the overall market and what kind of graphics cards and graphics products people are craving, and also what kind of games people are playing and what games are popular and of interest to the world.
Well, what about stuff like GPU Open and the new shader intrinsic functions that we heard about recently?
GPU Open is essentially the culmination of our approach with GCN over the years and enabling developers. The goal here is to be completely open and transparent to the world about our hardware features and accessing those features. We are announcing that the shader intrinsic functions in GPU Open are available on DirectX 11, 12, and on Vulkan as well for APIs.
And this is going to be included in Doom 4, we believe, as well, yes?
Yes, I believe that's the plan, yeah.
I believe that multi-GPU forms a very strong part of AMD's strategy going forward. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. I think many of your viewers would be familiar with Crossfire technology, and that's been the naming or the way we talk about multi-GPU in terms of DirectX 9, 10, and 11 applications. Going forward, DirectX 12 offers a unique new solution for multi-GPU support, and this is called explicit MGPU. And this is very exciting to me because this fully unlocks the capabilities of a multi-GPU system. And whereas on the Radeon RX 480, we're limited to 1, 2, 3, or 4 GPUs for Crossfire support in DirectX 9, 10, and 11. If you look at explicit multi-GPU, those same limitations do not exist. So you could potentially have as many GPUs in the system as you could throw in there. And the beauty is that the efficiency, the use, the way software that game developers write for explicit multi-GPU, the way it all works, and the way the DirectX 12 provides access to the hardware, you're able to get really great scaling factors. In fact, in testing some dual RX 480 demonstrations that may have been seen recently from Asia, I was able to achieve 1.95x scaling over two Radeon RX 480s. And that's almost unheard of in DirectX 11 and previous APIs. And I think that really shows the true potential of DirectX 12. And I'm just very excited about the possibilities there. And we do believe fully in the future of multi-GPU scenarios.
There is an issue here, though, with multi-GPU in that it's not all that easy for developers to code for. Historically, it wasn't easy, at least. Would you say it is now easier, or are you providing tools to make the job easier going forward?
Absolutely. One of the key tools that we're providing, one of the key features that we're enabling is something called Affinity Multi-Gpu, and that is included in the Liquid VR SDK. And the idea here is that VR essentially quadruples the workload, if not more, in terms of comparing back to a single 2D screen in a gaming scenario. With VR, you need to do 2 frames, one for the left and right eye, and then you also need to double that work as well to accomplish the stereo 3D effect. So being able to dedicate 1 GPU per eye is a great way of partitioning out the workload and translating that into performance improvements across multiple GPU adapter scenarios.
But one of the things that I've thought about VR is obviously it is still very new and the space is evolving very fast. We're going to see a lot of new things, like for example NVIDIA's simultaneous multi-projection, and AMD are going to have their own thing as well there for VR. The question I'm wondering is, are we at the stage now where, with this next coming generation of cards, are we at the stage now where we can say all these cards are doing VR really well and there's not going to be any more huge breakthroughs, like where we could be talking about twice the performance from generation to generation? Are we now at that stage where the sort of the low-hanging fruit for VR, has that been taken, would you say now?
I think we're definitely at an exciting time or transition period in terms of VR and the technologies that surround it and enable it, whether it be from the head-mounted device itself or the underlying hardware that processes the frames and delivers a low latency experience, or even the software. There's a lot of work to be done there on the software side. It's going to be an exciting few years, I think, and there's going to be a lot of really quick developments. I think the way that we feel that we can help as a company in terms of our products is that we want to not be a barrier to entry for VR. Yeah. There's currently a lot of barriers that scare people maybe away from investing into a full VR setup, whether it be cost or the consideration of whether or not the items they purchase are going to be useful in 2-3 years' time. And this is exactly why we've developed the Polaris architecture and why we've created the Radeon RX 480. It's all about enabling a wider set of people with VR-capable graphics card at a lower price point that makes them comfortable and able to jump into that VR experience should they choose to. And I'm not just talking about any VR experience, I'm talking about a VR premium experience, which essentially involves AAA game titles, just as we come to expect on the PC, and game titles that are developed from the ground up for VR.
Some people might say that, okay, AMD are offering cards much cheaper, and this is obviously going to help VR uptake, but we could still be talking about, it's still quite a lot of money really, isn't it, for an entire VR capable system, and the graphics card maybe $150 cheaper or so. Is that really going to make such a big difference here? Or is this more really about AMD having the technology as well as the cheaper cards? Do you think that maybe the game developers are going to look at this as just another incentive to go basically to code more for AMD's VR rather than NVIDIA's?
I think there's 2 parts to an answer to that question. I think first you have to address the market and the threshold to entry for VR and where that sits. And if you look at the previous year or so in terms of the graphics card market, the entry to VR was a set of products that are well over $300. And we looked at that as an opportunity. We see that as a possible solution, a possible problem that we can solve by creating a product like the RX 480 that's priced at $199. You're essentially telling the world that
you're doing your job.
Yeah, this category of product that the whole world is interested in buying to a greater extent. This category of product is now available to you, and you can now consider VR a technology that you can purchase and experience at home. The second piece is about enabling developers and what they design towards in terms of graphics capability and hardware capability. I think that over the years, time and time again, developers design around the hardware that's in people's hands and that people are buying. The beauty about the consoles is that hardware is known. It's one single source of hardware, and they can design specifically for that architecture. We believe that by democratizing the PC VR hardware experience, by enabling these lower cost solutions and bringing more people to a VR capable system, that's going to result in developers wanting to design for that level of performance. Yeah. And we've gone to great lengths to ensure that the Radeon RX 480 is a premium VR capable graphics product.
Right, so Jason, you're holding up Polaris. This is the RX 480, I believe, yes?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Yes, so do you want to tell us more about this card itself and the other cards in the family?
Sure. So we'll start with the guy that we got right here, and this is the Radeon RX 480. As you can see, it has very premium design functionality and principles attributed to it. This almost looks and feels like a $500 graphics card, but it's sitting at a $200 price point to start. So this is the Radeon RX 480. It's over 5 teraflops of performance, a TDP of 150 watts. There'll be a 4 gigabyte GDDR5 and an 8 gigabyte GDDR5 variant. Both come equipped with a full 256-bit memory interface, and they have support on display outs for HDMI 2.0B and DisplayPort 1.3 and DisplayPort 1.4. So that's the Radeon RX 480.
And what about the RX 470 and below?
Sure. So the RX 470 is based on the same Polaris chip as the RX 480. It has 32 compute units versus the 36 compute units on the RX 480, and it has a 110 watt TDP. So basically a sweet spot GPU for maximizing 1080p performance at ultra quality, maximum quality settings in your game. We really guarantee that you'll have a 1080p 60 frames per second gaming experience at max settings.
So are we actually calling that TDP? I noticed it said power of 150 for the 480. Is this, are we calling it TDP or is it power?
We'll call it overall graphics board power, yeah.
Okay, right. Well, can you tell me a bit more about the RX 460 now as well?
Sure. The RX 460 is a very compelling product because it represents that first jump into the discrete graphics card market. For a lot of people that may have integrated graphics or maybe a very old solution in their system and want to upgrade, it's a little bit. It can be a little bit concerning to have to jump into, say, a $300, $400 graphics card. So having something that's compelling, that can play a wide array of 1080p games, especially esports games, this is the perfect product. And it's one really important detail about it is that we've hit that threshold of 75 watt board power. And what that means is this product won't require external power connectors. So pretty much any system or power supply will be able to deliver the capabilities needed to power this board. And it's a really small, nice form factor, complete with the display out features that we're enabling on Polaris. So DisplayPort 1.3 and 1.4, HDR ready, HDMI 2.0B for 4K 60 Hertz, and also the
multi-GPU?
Yes, multi-GPU support, so 2 GPUs supported in crossfire configurations, that's DirectX 11, 10, and 9, and then also explicit multi-GPU support in DirectX 12 across the board.
It's quite similar though in ways of, for example, virtual reality costing a lot, and there being so few people using virtual reality. There's still going to be very few people using multi-GPU, so really the onus is on AMD to convince the developers that this is something that they really want to be doing, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the overall goal and the beauty of the DirectX 12 approach to multi-GPU is that it puts the power in the developer's hands to enable this kind of solution. And you no longer rely on specific driver updates and profiles, if you will, to enable an efficient multi-GPU solution on a per-game basis. So as long as the developer is understanding the multi-GPU solution and approach, and to be completely honest, developers love control and power over their code and how it's going to run.
Yeah.
I think that as long as that is all understood, and as long as we do our job on our end to explain to them how to utilize those features and to enable APIs across various developers, I think that there will be a lot of compelling use cases for multi-GPU going forward.
Right, just a couple of simple questions to wrap up. Polaris, is this AMD's best ever architecture?
Absolutely. The GCN 4.0 architecture is our best yet. We're seeing a 15% uptick in performance versus per compute unit versus previous GCN architectures.
That's at the same megahertz, yeah?
Yeah, this is on a per compute basis,
yeah.
Per compute unit basis.
Okay. And finally, Jason, what is the best computer game ever made?
The best computer game ever made is the game that convinced me to purchase my first graphics card, and it's the game that resulted in me working at AMD. It's Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2, yeah.
That is, in my opinion, the best game ever made, and all the mods for Half-Life 2 all just the replayability was amazing. The excitement around it was amazing. And this forced me to, or it didn't force me, it really convinced me to buy my first GPU in my computer at home.
Dare I ask you what GPU it was?
You absolutely can, because it was a 9600 XT. And I'm very proud of that being my first GPU purchase.
The first GPU I ever bought, the game that made me buy a GPU was Morrowind. So we're talking around about the same sort of time, yeah? That's when I bought my first ever GPU. Sadly, I bought a GeForce MX 440. It wasn't the best GPU ever, and I bought a bunch of NVIDIA cards after that. But I did finally start buying ATI cards at one point.
Yeah, when I bought the ATI Radeon 9600 XT, just because it seemed to be partnered well with Half-Life 2, and I was just absolutely nuts for that game. It wasn't out yet, and I started using it. I was like, I really like this product. You know, this is. Because I was moving from a very low-end computer to my first discrete equipped system, and I was really enjoying it. I was probably playing Half-Life 1 with it, to be honest, while I waited for Half-Life 2, and I ended up realizing that ATI was headquartered down the street from me.
Down the road, just like that, yeah.
One thing led to another, and eventually I started working there. So I'm happy with that decision, and who would have thought that buying a graphics card to play a video game would have ended up in a career?
It's the dream, isn't it? It's what we all dream about, really.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you very much, Jason.
Hey, thank you.
Great.